Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's episode of Taraweeh Truffles. Salams, where are you from? We'll get started in 4 minutes. And how long? 4 minutes. Say salam, where you're from, and we'll get started in 4 minutes. Shumaila Sharifa, alaikum assalam, Dallas, Minnesota. Shaz, welcome Shaz. Patricia in Philly, wa alaikum assalam. How long? 4 minutes. Nimra, alaikum assalam, Nimra. Shaz B says, I love truffles. You love Taraweeh truffles or you love chocolate truffles? Nimra, Muhammad, 8 years old from Pakistan. Welcome, Muhammad. Shamanaz, wa alaikum assalam, Montreal. And we've got Zurich, Mariam in Zurich with Juju and Bilqis and Asya. We got Boang living in Medina. Hope you're well, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good. Asma in Dallas. Mr. Abdul Basit in Malaysia. Noorin in Bangladesh. Zahra. The regulars are here. Jazakallah khair for tuning in every day. Zahra in Pakistan. Alaikum assalam. Aisha Hussein in Toronto. Alaikum assalam. Wasifa. Alaikum assalam. Wasifa. And Nimra says Muhammad is visiting her today. Nice. Lubna, alaikum assalam. In Toronto. Rasha in Minneapolis. Rasha, I think I sent you a message about your brother. Queens, Jasenia. Marzuka in Japan. Marzuka, are you Japanese or do you just live in Japan? Because Japan's awesome. Lulu, Perth, Junaina. Alaikum assalam. Get started in 2 minutes. Zahra says, how are you? I'm good. Ilifia, Indonesian in Rockville, Maryland. Indonesians are awesome. Umama, alaikum assalam. Kishwar in New Jersey. Allah keep you guys safe. Al-Maida in Riyadh. Umama's in Pakistan. Amir Ali, alaikum assalam. What is the question? If I asked you to tapuchala something that I will implement, I missed that. We'll get to it later. Copy paste it. So you can paste it later when we get to questions. Kausar in Singapore, alaikum assalam. Hamdi in California. Habib Ali in Ottawa, hometown Ottawa. New here, yay, also Maryland. College Park, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland. We'll get started in 1 minute. We will start in 1 minute. The train will be departing in 1 minute. Rahila in Dubai. Seema, alaikum assalam, Seema. Muhammad Kabir in Nigeria. Gohar says, what's the topic for today? We're going to be reciting 2 verses. Surah Al-An'am, verse 152, 153. Yamama says, what's with the star business and why don't you have it? You know what? Facebook asked me if I would like to do the star business. It basically allows me to monetize the Facebook Lives from Facebook. And if you press a star, then I get 1 penny. And I figured, I don't know if I should bother you guys with that so I can get like pennies. They'll probably force implement it on my post anyway. Junaina says, you always miss my questions. Junaina, post it when I say it now. Are there any, or Junaina, copy paste your questions and right when it hits 9:15 or whatever time it is in your thing, then hit it 15 after the hour. All right, let's begin. Take one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala amma ba'd. Today is Tarawih Truffles, day number 8. We are on Surah Al-An'am. Surah Al-An'am, and this is 152. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the surah, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ حتى يبلغ أشده وأوفوا الكيل والميزان بالقسط لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها وإذا قلتم فاعدلوا ولو كان ذا قربى وبعهد الله أوفوا ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تذكرون. So in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ. Do not come near to the wealth of the orphan, إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, except in that way which is best. حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ, until he reaches his maturity. وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving commandments. I'll explain in a second, but let's read through like linguistic, just word for word. وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ. Al-Kayla wal-Mizan, these are measurements, right? So give full measure and weight in justice. So be just when you are taking measurements and when you're giving rulings. وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ. لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها. That Allah does not place a burden on a soul more than it can bear. وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ, and if you speak, فَعْدِلُوا, then speak justice, وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى, even if it's against your own near of kin, near relative. وَبِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا, and with the covenants of Allah, that you should fulfill it, and fulfill the covenants of Allah. وَبِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ, so that you would remember. So these verses start with, actually it's the verse before it, and I'm not bringing it up here for our Tarawih Truffles, but the verse before this verse, and the verse after, these three have like 10 commandments. Have 10 commandments, 10 guidance, foundations in which Islam is built. And so let's look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises us. And the end of this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ, that this is what Allah advises you. And in fact, the next verse also says, ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ, that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises you, so that you would have taqwa. So here in this verse specifically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises us, don't eat orphans' wealth unjustly. So don't steal from orphans. The second thing we see in this verse is miscalculation in measurements. So that could be miscalculations, whether that's in business transactions, somebody trying to cheat in their business transactions and their measurements, or it could be in legal proceedings, somebody miscalculating. And there's so many examples pop into my mind of how miscalculations happen so that it's to one person's benefit and not the others. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids lying or being fake. These days we hear about fake news and fake testimonies and fake false comments. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids this, whether it's in words or in legal situations. And we also see in this verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says advising the believers to never break their covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with others. So let's talk about the wealth of the orphans. So when you read about wealth of the orphans in the Quran, you have to realize that in Islam, an orphan is somebody whose father has passed away. So their mother may be alive, but they get orphan status because that male, the father figure, has passed away. And so a lot of times these orphans that you're reading about in the Quran are actually girls, not boys. And it intended, maybe the boy will get older, become a warrior, fight for his wealth, and get his wealth back. But other times when the girls, they're young girls and they would have some big warrior uncle, the uncle would take the wealth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll see this repeated in the Quran, Allah defends those for whom no one has defense. They don't have defense. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands not to come near to the wealth of the orphan, hatta yablugha ashuddah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا, don't eat it. Don't eat mal al-yatim, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ. This happens with, if the wealth of the orphan is like food, or if it's property, don't take that property. And there's another thing that actually happens, which is, what if somebody says, you know what, orphans are so sacred, so I'm not going to come anywhere near their property, but to the point where their property gets neglected or their wealth gets neglected. Or let's suppose somebody is trying to be just in their calculations, such as, you might have a business partnership with somebody and you're trying your 100% to keep everything legit, but things slip through the cracks, or maybe some harm was done to the orphan, but unintentionally. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها, that we don't place a burden on a soul more than it can bear. And so there's the rahmah there, that yes, a person stands for justice, but if something slips through the cracks, even though the person did their best, then inshallah ta'ala Allah is forgiving for that, as long as the intention wasn't for a person to do that, the things that slip through the cracks. We also learn that in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to speak the truth. وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى. And we also see here that speaking the truth is even when you're dealing with people that you don't like, or maybe even it's like disbelievers or something like that. But if somebody has spoken the truth, we stand up for the truth that is being said. Sometimes you see like political parties, it doesn't matter what the other party said, they're going to go against it just because, they're from a different group. That's on a political party type of level. But even on a day-to-day basis in our own lives, you may not like someone, or you may not like a group of people. But if they say truth, then we should speak up and say, you know what, this person sucks, but this kalam, these words that they've said, it is just and it is truth. And we don't allow our hatred for someone or our dislike for somebody lead us to be unjust, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Ma'idah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا. And as for the covenant with Allah, then fulfill it. And that covenant, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a covenant with every soul that they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. You know what's interesting about people who deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you ask them straight up to deny God, they can't do it. Like deny God. They'll say, you know what, I don't deny God, I believe in a higher being. But I don't know about organizers or whatever. Maybe we'll talk about that in another session. But I'm like, look, if you're so against it, then just deny God. God doesn't exist. Yes, I know there's people like that who kind of like testify against themselves. But generally speaking, the mind and the whole creation is built to believe. It's like a signature on human beings that they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They believe in the higher being, as they would call. وَبِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا. And as for the covenant with Allah, then fulfill it. And this is a covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we worship Him and not associate partners. And it also applies to covenants with other people. وَبِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا. And so if there is a covenant or a treatise or something like that we have with somebody else, that we should fulfill it. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. And as for this path, my path, it's a straight path. فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. So follow it. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ, and do not follow the other ways, these other paths, فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ, and for it will separate you from his way, from that straight path. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs you and advises you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you would get taqwa. So when we talk about the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا, this is the straight path. There are 5 general rulings in Islam, al-ahkam al-shar'iyya as it's called. You have something that is haram, something that is makruh, something that is mubah, which is like the middle, which is permissible. Haram is forbidden, makruh is disliked, mubah is allowed, mustahab, what people sometimes call sunnah, and sunnah is everything, but sunnah, mustahab is something that's desirable, and then you have fard, which is something that's commanded, obligatory. In those commandments, I've found this mental mistake that people make when they think of the middle path, the sirat al-mustaqim, the straight path, the middle path. Sometimes they think that if people are disagreeing, and one person says something is fard and one person says something is haram, you know what? I'm just going to follow the middle path and it's all good. The middle path in this case is mubah, as they say. So everything is just, we can pick whatever we want because it's the middle path. And that's an inaccurate and a mistaken way of coming to understand what the middle path is. The middle path is what Allah and His Messenger have guided us to. If that's something that's haram, then that's the middle path. So for example, if pork is haram, that's the middle path. If there's something that's fard and compulsory, such as speaking the truth in a court case, that, there's not exceptions, if it's my brother or if it's something like that. So that's the middle path. It's obligatory to speak the truth. The middle path is not mubah. The middle path is what the Quran and Sunnah point to. So this middle path is in beliefs, not the middle path, this straight path is in beliefs, it's in worship. So beliefs is, what do we believe as believers? How do we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the straight path? The laws that govern us, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sirati mustaqiman fattabi'u, the character that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding us to, and the etiquettes of what it means to be a believer. All of these things go back to وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوا. And as for my path, it is straight, and so follow it. The Prophet ﷺ once drew a line in the sand, and he said, this is Allah's path. And he said, this is Allah's path. And then he drew other lines going away from that path. And the Prophet ﷺ said, and these are the subul, these are the other ways, the subul, other paths, other ways. فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ, as this verse says, that it will divide you and separate you out. I want to finish off here by mentioning that this commandment to follow and be unified is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think because there's so much disunity around the world that we kind of accept it as, hey, it's status quo, this is what it is. But in fact, if you look at how amazing Ramadan is when, the whole Muslim world is fasting together, how amazing has it been during this, the coronavirus, lockdowns, the unification that has happened in most of the worlds, that when we unify, we can beat like global issues. And so as believers, that we should strive for that kind of unification. And on a small example, something like a moon sighting committee. How amazing is it in your community when people put aside their fiqh issues and then they come together and say, I know we've got multiple fiqh issues, but we've got a leader here and we're going to go with the committee and what they say. And when the whole city, multiple masajid come together and unify, how much khair comes to the community. And that's the benefit of following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's straight path and being unified as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us. And that's it. Before I forget, inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow Visionaire Ramadan begins. This is the last day to register. We're going wild in the Facebook group amongst the students. And inshallah ta'ala, we are going to start tomorrow. Visionaire doesn't take away from your Ramadan, it enhances your Ramadan. I don't like to be have a course such as, I have a Umrah app, Hajj app called Salam. And this app, somebody was talking to me about it. I helped design it. I was like the creative designer for this app, and there's a team of people. And he said, like, shouldn't people be putting away their phones when they're making Umrah? And I said, yeah, probably. But our app wasn't made to take away from your Umrah. It's in fact helping you to focus more on performing your Umrah. For example, the app can count your tawaf even without you having to remember that. So you just look down and it has the count for you of your tawaf on the phone so that you can focus on worshiping. Visionaire, when people ask me how many hours is it, I say to them that it's a misunderstanding, because Visionaire isn't a course that's taken in Ramadan. It's actually for Ramadan to enhance your dua, so that when you get to the last 10 nights of Ramadan and you're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're standing in front of Allah, and this is the time to make dua, that you've got all the best dua that you want to make. They're all ready to go, and it's the best because it is your personalized, specific, from your heart du'as. And for the next 2 weekends, inshallah ta'ala, it's an introspective retreat journey, an experience that we're going to be going through to extract from your heart what are those du'as that you want to make. This is not print from the internet type of du'as, and this is not same old type of du'as, and these are not the ritualistic type of things that you were taught when you were a little child and you don't know what they mean. These are du'as that you care about, and it's bringing the power of du'a into your life. That is Visionary Ramadan. It is happening tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, at this exact time. So literally there's only a few more hours left and we begin the journey, and I'd love to have you there. If finances is an issue, you will see on the Visionary Ramadan, for those affected by COVID, there is a link that you can seek assistance there. So please don't worry about that. If you're interested in taking this visionary journey, then please check it out at Visionary Ramadan. Inshallah ta'ala, we will continue with our Tarawih truffles, even though we will start tomorrow at the same time, maybe a little bit shorter, because class is going to start right after the Tarawih truffles. Allah ta'ala alam. So now, if you have questions, you are welcome to ask. Let's go. Actually, before I get to the long question, here's some shorter ones. Abdul Basid's question, how many sessions will we be having in this Visionary Ramadan? Visionary is going to be Saturday, Sunday, tomorrow and Sunday, and next week, Saturday, Sunday. Each day has its own intention. The first Saturday, tomorrow, is to lay the foundation for the visionary journey, what it's about, and our relationship to dua. The Sunday is going to be about actually going through visualizations and figuring out what we really want to make dua for from our hearts. The next Saturday is going to be double checking that those are the duas that we really want to make, and throughout the week you're on your own building up to those duas. And then Sunday is going to be how to accelerate your duas. Each session is 2 hours in length. Nurin says, what's the name of the app again, please? The app's name is We Salam. Let me type it. And We Salam, you can use it also for the Qibla Finder. It's got an awesome Qibla Finder. I know the guys who made the Qibla Finder, and I've proven its accuracy all around the world. It's an awesome Qibla Finder. And you'll also find the Salah times is awesome. And there's a Mus'haf inside of there as well. So even if you're not in Hajj and Umrah, you can still use the app for multiple things. Where is that long question now? Who is the one who said they need their question answered? I don't know. I think, Nimar, you are posting for them. Hopefully this is the one. You were talking about du'as yesterday and said it's best when we make du'as from the heart in our own language. I love making du'as during sujood, but don't know many Arabic du'as. How can I make du'a? I just feel so close to Allah during sujood, but can't make du'a in my own language. So at times I spend time being quiet and making du'a in my heart. Is that okay? Question 2 is, I heard we can't read Quranic du'as during sujood and ruku'. Is that correct? So Quranic du'as, you can't recite Quran in ruku' and sujood. you cannot recite Quran. But what about Quranic du'as? If you're making a du'a, and it happens to be like a Quranic one, such as رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, which is actually a Quranic dua, or اهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمَ, guide us the straight path. You can do that if your intention is to make the dua, but you're not supposed to recite Quran in ruku' and sujood. To the beginning of your question, can you make dua in your language in sajda out loud? And the answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can. So making dua in sajda is not exclusive to people who speak Arabic. Is not exclusive only to people who speak Arabic. That Allah, so this is the closest that a servant is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if this position was the only Arab people who are allowed to make dua in that position, then there would be a lot less people making dua in sujood, and that's not the case. So if you're in sajda and you want to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your language, you can do so. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So Yamama says that she's seen occasions where a woman and her orphan children are so controlled by the husband's family because they spend on the children and care for them. A type of control that is mentally abusive in my opinion. They use their help and care against the women or children. Isn't that haram? So I would tell you, Imama, that controlling someone and abusing them, they don't have to be orphaned for that to be haram. That's haram, even if it was just, brother and sister or husband, wife and stuff like that. So yes, it is haram. And it may be even more so because they're orphan and they have special status and protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Junaina says, how to avoid thoughts during Salah. Are movements acceptable during Salah? As mostly during my Salah, my cat comes and sits in my lap. Then I keep her aside. So Junaina, I don't know what you mean by avoiding thoughts in Salah. Because as human beings, for sure, we're going to be thinking, our thoughts will be going. I think what you're talking about, how do you concentrate on what you're saying in Salah? Yes, so that could be that when you're reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, you start, learning, what does Surah Al-Fatiha mean? Start understanding the translation of what's being said. When you go into ruku' and sujood, understand what Sabbih Ismi Rabbil A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la and Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. What do those things mean? You start making dua that you understand. When you start understanding what you're saying, then inshallah ta'ala, that'll help you to get more focus and get your mind back on track. And I'd also say that it's normal for the mind to wander to other thoughts. That we pray 5 times a day, and it's a whole life journey of getting our thoughts back on track to what we're praying and to focus on that. About your cat, if your cat comes and sits on your lap and you put it aside, it's fine inshallah ta'ala. Just put it to the side. Zahra, this might be a long answer, but I'll make it short for you. Is it compulsory to follow 4 imams, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Hanbal, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik? So what is advised is for a person to follow a person of knowledge. Okay? So a person of knowledge. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. So for you, Zahra, you are not the one who is asked to follow a madhab. Following a madhab is a list of legal rules, how to extract rulings from Quran and Sunnah and stuff like that. And you're not going to do that. It's a common misconception that just a layperson, regular people do is like, oh, I follow a madhab. No, actually, you don't follow madhab. What you do is you follow your imam or your learned person who they follow a madhab. They follow a madhab and you follow people of knowledge if you don't know. So that's to make it short for you, you're not the one who's going out and picking up, Imam Shafi books for dummies and you're like a reference for the rest of us and trying to figure out how to do this fiqh on yourself. You are learning from a person of knowledge. That person should have reliable sources if they're doing ijtihad and they are extracting, based on rules from these madhabs. Hope that makes it a little bit clear. Paras says, what will be the time for the visionary session? Paras, it's going to be this time tomorrow, exactly this time tomorrow. Wherever you are right now in the world, in 4 minutes, tomorrow, the half an hour after this hour is going to be visionary. If you are part of visionary, and I know you are, Paras, Gohar, you can, at the cover of our Facebook group has the dates and has the timings on it. Abu Amina says, do I have to go through all the bonus access before we start tomorrow? Abu Amina, no, you do not. You can come to the class. Just make sure you introduce yourself. We get to know how cool a person you are, inshallah ta'ala. Make sure you introduce yourself. All the other stuff, there are some activities that I prefer over others, some of the bonus that I prefer over the others, but there's not much time left until tomorrow, so don't worry about it. Inshallah ta'ala, you can do it after. Hannah, there are deals for the alumni. Message support at discoverylife.com, and they'll hook you up with the deals. Usually they sent it out to the past students, but if you have unsubscribed from that list or something, or it didn't reach you, then you can check it out. Hamdi says, I was drink when 1 minute was after Fajr today. Does that make my fasting break or not? Hamdi, did you do it on purpose or did you do it accidentally? If you did it accidentally, then no problem. If you did it intentionally, meaning you knew that Fajr time came in and you were like, I don't care if it came in, I'm still going to eat and drink, then we got a problem. Inshallah ta'ala, I don't think that was your intention. I think, inshallah ta'ala, you did it accidentally. And if you did it accidentally, then no problem. Wallahu alam. I'm waiting for you, Nimra, to join Visionary. You were saying yesterday that you're kind of thinking about it. I'm waiting for you to join, inshallah ta'ala. Nancy says, how can I train my 5-year-old son to do Salah at a young age? Nancy, I once heard this nice advice from some sheikh saying that if you want to encourage your child, you don't want to reward them for praying. So, for example, let's suppose this child prays and then you say, hey, you prayed, here's a candy for praying. Because that messes up their intention. They don't care about the candy later and whatnot. Instead, the sheikh gave this nice suggestion. He said something to the effect of, hey, you know what? I saw that you've been praying recently and I bought you this nice watch that can help you track the time for Salah. So you are giving him a gift, you are encouraging them to pray. I think a big mistake, or I don't know if it's a mistake or not, but kind of like the child's 5 years old and you want to encourage them. If they don't want to pray or they don't find themselves inclined to pray at this time, then don't force them. Don't make it like, hey, you're 5 years old, I'm going to spank you on the bottom unless you stand up straight and pray. Their brain hasn't developed to that point. Allah doesn't hold them accountable. You want to encourage them at the age of 7 is what the Prophet said, I'm advised. So if this child is 5 years old, like, give them a break, inshallah ta'ala. They can pray and you encourage them, but if they want to play or they want to run around, it's not a big deal. Farhan says, I guess you're talking about Visionaire. If you're talking about Visionaire, Visionaire is going to be Visionaire Ramadan, and the links, you have to register for it, and the links are going to be in the membership site. And it's not going to be here on Facebook. All right, this question we got 2. Will it be different to Visionary 2030? Any repetition if there's a session not to miss it, which is it? So the question 2 months ago, it was 2 months ago, right? 2 or 3 months ago, we did Visionary 2030. That was a decade edition. The purpose of Visionary 2030 was to design a plan instead of every Ramadan trying to figure out from zero what you want to make dua for. The Visionary 2030 program's intention was to make a game plan for the upcoming decade. Make a game plan. Where do you want to be in 10 years? And they're actually like 2 different courses. The purpose of Visionary 2030 was to make a decade blueprint, dream blueprint for 5 areas of your life. And that blueprint would be something that you could extract from year after year as you do Visionary Ramadan. It was kind of intense for people who are taking Visionary for the first time when they took Visionary 2030, because that was an advanced version and it was dealing with different things. So if you did take Visionary 2030, I would tell you, even people who take Visionary Ramadan, they come back for Visionary Ramadan year after year, because refreshing our du'as, it's not about an information. It's not about Visionary isn't information, it's an experience. And it's like, what do I want to make dua for this year? I think Sister Syra really summed it up beautifully, that every year as you come to Ramadan, and we take, for those who are taking Visionary, it's like a gift from Allah of, what are the du'as that you're going to make for? And you don't know what that is until you go through this journey of, what do I really want to make dua for, as we're doing in Visionary? And I was saying in response that it's the same for me. Even this Ramadan, I don't really know what my dream duas are for the last 10 nights of Ramadan. But as I go through this Visionary journey with the students, why I do it every year is because I have to do it. Because you don't know what those duas are until you pull it from the bottom of your heart, you organize them, and then you're ready to go, so that when you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the last 10 nights, you have the du'as that mean the most to you, ready to go. All right, guys, we're done. It is finished. Jazakallah khairan. Okay, inshallah ta'ala, we will have Taraweeh Truffles tomorrow, maybe like a shortened version, because Visionary class starts tomorrow. Please, if you enjoy these Taraweeh Truffles and you'd like to check out Visionary Ramadan, have a look at what it's about. The website is visionaryramadan.com. I will type it up for you so you can click on it now. All right, everybody, check it out. Click on the link now. Learn more about it. Inshallah ta'ala, you may be like, it could be life-changing. And when you tell your story about how your life changed, you say, you know what? It was the night before Visionary Ramadan. And all through the house, everything was quiet as I clicked on my mouse. All right, check it out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.